to thank you for keeping it Y in the morning right here on Y254. We really do appreciate your company. Shiko Kaitani is my name, and as always, we do have loads lined up for you. Jackson Anduru, the amazing saxophonist, is in the house, and he's going to be coming your way with a fantastic session on set, so you really don't want to miss that interview. For now, though, it is time to address an issue that seems to be recurring from time to time. The numbers are rising, and it's not unheard of to see young people using this method to express themselves. Now, the word is suicide. It's painful thinking about it. It's heartbreaking just thinking about it, but it is happening. And so let's discuss today on the show some of the reasons as to why more and more young people are actually committing suicide and what we can do to help. In studio with me to discuss this is Nurse Counselor Angela Lukuyu, who is a practitioner at Gertrude's Hospital and has done extensive work with young people in a number of suicide cases. Karibu sana, Angie.
Thank you, Shiko. I'm really honored to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you. And by the way, this Sunday is actually the World Suicide Prevention Day. We're going to be celebrating it on the 10th of September, and that's exactly why we're wearing yellow bows. So you can see Angie and I have our bows on. Yeah? All right. Yeah, it looks pretty nice. I didn't even know that yellow is the color.
Yes.
And not so many people actually know about World Suicide Prevention Day.
Actually, it's really sad that people are not really aware. They don't even know that 10th of September we celebrate the World Suicide Prevention Day.
Yeah.
And the reason is because, you know, suicide is a taboo. It's something that's not talked about.
Yeah.
And I've not even heard of anything in our country about that particular day. Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. So before we, get into some of the reasons and all that, could you probably share with us some of the facts on suicide cases amongst the young people? Are there more males or females doing it?
Okay. According to the World Health Organization, actually, a study showed that around 800,000 people die annually.
Wow.
Yes, out of suicide. And actually, suicide is the second most leading cause of death among the youth between 15 to 29. Really shocking, right?
Wow.
Did you know that? Yeah, I'm sure people were not aware of that.
Yeah.
And also, according to various studies, it has shown that more men than women succeed in suicide.
Yeah.
But more women attempt suicide. And the reasons are because we know men, naturally, the way they are created, they are
closed.
Yes, they are closed, and they are also not afraid of, they're not afraid of anything. So they tend to use more lethal methods. And women, we are soft, so we tend to use the more softer methods. So by the time someone attempts suicide for a male, it's already too late. But for females, since their methods are less lethal, they are probably discovered or they are rescued. Yeah.
And then the numbers are rising with males because they don't talk about their issues. And women, by nature, we are social beings.
Actually,
and
that's really right.
We chat a lot, so you're able to just release the issues.
And you're even able to pick out that this person may be depressed, because women, we talk a lot. You go to a friend and tell them, I've been feeling this way lately. And if a friend of yours is like me, who's a professional, will realize that, Shiko might be depressed. I need to take her to a counselor. But for men, they believe that I should die with my problems.
Oh, that is so sad. Yeah, I know. And there's usually that barrier.
Yeah,
so I guess it's not such a bad thing that women are always talking.
Yes, yes. It's not a bad thing at all.
Okay, fine. All right. So now, moving forward, could you probably tell us some of the reasons, because I know for us who, for people who are on the entertainment scene, the latest star to have committed suicide and was, of course, making news was Linkin Park's frontman, Chester Bennington. Of course, fit Kenyan girl Jane Mukami sadly lost her brother to suicide. Stephen, he killed himself in the US. And what are some of the reasons as to why young people are actually using this as a way to express themselves? They kill themselves.
There are very many various reasons why people commit suicide. And we are very much aware that depression is one leading cause as to why people commit suicide. But before somebody gets depressed, definitely there are a couple of things that have happened before in their life.
So it starts with depression?
Not necessarily. Yeah, there are many other causes.
Yeah.
So I'll give an example of one cause that may lead to depression is, for example, a life crisis.
Right.
You're in a relationship, you've given your all in that relationship, and then the person ends up really disappointing you, and you feel, I cannot cope with this anymore, I'm so heartbroken, I cannot go on with life anymore.
Yeah.
Other reasons that lead to suicide are mental health diseases, which many times someone is not in control of. For example, bipolar disorder. You find that this person has, with bipolar disorder, there are instances where the person is either manic, like really high, or other episodes where the person is really depressed. Right. And if they are not keenly watched, then that person may end up committing suicide. Other things are like trauma. Somebody has been sexually abused, and you just feel worthless, and you feel that I don't deserve to live anymore. Yeah. So there are very many causes of suicide, especially among the young people. Yeah. And I'll also include academic pressure.
Wow.
Lately, and you see, between the age of 15 to 29, that is when, or even 14, I'll go lower, when people are around to sit for national examinations, like KCP, KCSE, and there's a lot of pressure from parents, all corners, from parents, from the school, to perform well. And this person, if the person is not able to cope, then they may end up deciding, you know what, I don't feel like I'm going to make it if I don't pass, so I'd rather just end my life.
They're just thinking, after this, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen if I fail? And probably the person has not been performing well, so they feel, I don't need to live anymore, so they just end their life.
Angie, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but the issue of fluctuating emotions comes into play when you're just talking about this, because even for me, sometimes I feel like if I made it through my early 20s, let me tell you, God is good. Because there's just something about you when you're under 25 where your emotions are just raging, and you tend to make things bigger than they seem to be. Like, and I don't know if you get what I'm saying by that, in fact, young people just tend to make things an issue when they're not, and you go overboard, and you're just emotional, and
in fact, scientifically, the brain of an adolescent up to around 25 years is not mature enough to make conscious decisions. And also, to deal with the ups and downs, the emotional changes. And science actually says that they use the part of the brain that's called the amygdala to make decisions, and which is not really mature enough to to think like an adult, or to act like an adult. And that is why the young people are more prone to mood swings, depression, and even suicide.
Right. Okay. Now I know in suicide is often described as a mental health issue. Why so?
First, I think I will start by defining what mental health is.
Okay.
And being mentally healthy means that as an individual, you're able to know yourself. You're very much aware of yourself, and you're fully aware of your potentials. You're able to cope with the normal stresses of life effectively. You're able to be productive at work, and you're also able to contribute to the community. So when it comes to suicide, from the discussions that we've had, it points to the fact that this person was probably not aware of themselves, because maybe they were bullied, and they have low self-esteem. 2, you're not able to cope with the stresses of life. This academic pressure is too much on me. And then due to depression, you're not able to function effectively at work. And you see, all those things now just lead and point to the direction that suicide is actually one of the mental health issues.
Okay. What are some of the signs when it comes to suicidal behavior? What are those patterns that, once you look at someone, you can say, okay, this is a suicidal individual?
Okay. Definitely suicide is preceded by a couple of factors. One, what I've talked about, a traumatic event or a life crisis. And then what happens next is that there's a cascade of emotions that go on. If you've broken up with someone that you've really loved,
And
you
that
start
seems
feeling
to be
depressed.
quite the issue.
Yes,
yeah, with young people.
relationships. Yes, because
Relationships are probably
so
the
important.
number one.
Yes,
Yes.
relationships are very important between the ages of 15 to 29.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes. And yes, probably you have broken up with someone that you're really given your all, your time, your energy, your finances. So your heart is crushed.
Yeah.
Then that's where the cycle begins.
Yeah.
So you start feeling depressed, you start feeling worthless. Maybe he dumped you for someone else. You start comparing yourself, so you develop a low self-esteem. Then that leads to you start becoming withdrawn. So now you start seeing behavioral changes in this person.
Yeah.
This person was normally outgoing, but suddenly they just want to lock themselves up. They're not interested in the things that they loved doing before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they may now start talking about feelings of I don't feel like living anymore.
Yeah.
So now they start communicating it. Some may even start giving away their most valued possessions.
Oh, really?
Yes, they may now start giving and preparing themselves for death. And if you start noticing such signs,
Yeah.
then you should have a question mark.
Okay.
Yes.
And from your experience, what are some of the worst case scenarios that you've come across with what some young people have attempted to do?
Okay. I have encountered a couple of suicide cases during my practice.
Yeah.
And it is really sad because most of the time these young people do not really want to end their life. It is circumstances that have just led them to feel worthless, they feel depressed, and mostly they feel that they are not heard. Yeah, no one seems concerned about what they feel.
Yeah.
They just want results and results and results from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what give me scenarios.
It would be hard to really give a lot of detail because of confidentiality issues. But I know I have encountered a 16-year-old who just had conflicts within herself.
Yes.
Yeah, she did not know where she belongs. She does not know who she is. She does not understand why she does not cope with things the same way other people cope with things. And she just felt that because I cannot understand myself and because I'm not able to cope with situations the way other people do, then I don't deserve to live anymore.
Yeah.
And through the session, you know, she actually admitted that yes, I agree, actually suicide is not the way, but I did not find help. No one was giving me a listening ear. Yeah, so all it needed was somebody to show concern about that girl, to listen to her, to help her understand herself better, and even the suicidal thoughts would not even have occurred in the first place.
Okay. And so what are some of the common methods that people tend to use when it comes to suicide?
People, if you intend to have firearms and you have young people living with you, then you need to lock them up somewhere in the basement where they're out of reach. If there are chemicals in the homes that you use probably for killing pests or for disinfecting, they need to also be really locked up.
Yes.
And the keys should actually be inaccessible to the young people. Only the person responsible for cleaning should have access.
Right.
In addition to that, I would also say that, like nowadays, I had a case of a school where the first aiders or something like that, or the children in St. John ambulance are allowed to treat their fellow students. That is really risky because, you know, you now are exposing those children to those drugs. And this is a Facebook, Google generation. So they end up Googling things they know. They know about insulin, they know about...
So they're Googling these chemicals.
They know about drugs, they know about a lot of stuff. And you'd find that now because you've exposed them to this medication, they will end up taking it themselves and end up committing suicide. Therefore, I would really advise schools that have a sanatorium and a nurse not to give access to students to have drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a very interesting question that came in through Twitter where one lady here known as @Wangeshi254 says, hello Angela, and a quick question, is suicide hereditary?
There have been studies that have shown that yes, a history of suicide in the family raises the risk factors of having another member of the family committing suicide, but it is not it is not substantial that definitely if a family member of yours committed suicide, then definitely somebody in that family will commit suicide.
Yes.
It's just a predisposing factor. Yes.
Okay, a big thank you to Joe Kiba watching us all the way from Mombasa, who says, by the way, ingestion is a pretty common method. What can someone do in terms of first aid? I like that question.
If we were going to discuss about that, it would take a really long time, because there are very many types of chemicals that people ingest.
Yes.
And there are some forms of chemicals that you're not supposed to induce vomiting, because I know the first thing that people are told, whenever somebody swallows poison, you're supposed to induce vomiting.
Yeah.
So not all chemicals that are ingested are supposed to be maybe vomited out.
Yeah.
And there are others that require somebody to give milk. So that question would really need to be discussed by a medical practitioner who knows, who has a lot of information regarding the types of chemicals and what effect it would have if I induce the victim or if I give milk. And that is a good idea, Shiko. Maybe you should invite somebody to talk about first aid.
It really is, yeah. So anyway, one solution does not fit all, because there are different situations call for different interventions rather. Okay, fine. All right, so even as we're wrapping up, what is your word to anyone who is feeling depressed at this particular time? What would you advise?
First of all, maybe just to create awareness to the world and to Kenya that depression is real, it exists. And not far from home myself, I have experienced depression. And at that moment when I was experiencing depression, I was not even aware I was depressed.
Really?
Yet I was still a nurse. And due to a certain life crisis. And it just made me start feeling really hopeless. I lost value for myself. I just felt I could not keep on living. And one time I actually could not eat. I lost a lot of weight. I went from a 65 to a 55.
Wow.
That's 10 kgs. Within 3 months, I had lost all that weight. And I had lost interest in it. I wasn't showering. I have little kids, so I would just throw them away. I'm just telling them, leave me, I don't talk to you. I would lock myself in the room. And some friends of mine, of course, who are also medical people would realize that this girl is depressed. And I also thank God because I sought help. I went to a counselor who helped me come out of that depression. And at even one time, I was suicidal. I thought about it. I didn't attempt it, but I thought about it. So it is not something that that we feel that we should stigmatize someone because they have thought about suicide or they want to kill themselves. Our personalities are very different. Don't judge somebody because you are able to deal with issues better than the other person is.
That is so true.
And a little discussion was going around somewhere, and I just heard people say, if kama aliachwa, I am single, akuje, why do they want to kill themselves? So, and I'm just thinking,
there are a lot of people who have that kind of attitude.
I mean, people are experiencing more problems. Why would they want to? We are very different. God created us all differently. We have very many different personalities. So the way you're able to cope with something is not the same way another person is able to cope.
So there are other people who say, by the way, kujinyonga si ajinyonge.
I mean, I'm even going through worse situations. So that's very insensitive. And that is what is pushing people to actually commit suicide. So one word I would tell to someone who is depressed is that just think about the reason that has made you hold on this long. That one reason that has made you not want to give up. Just keep holding on to that reason. And I remember one time I even just put my hand on my heart, and I could feel that heartbeat, and I realized this is my purpose. This is the purpose of my life. There's a reason why I'm alive, and I will just keep pushing on. And of course, I didn't do it alone. There was a lot of support from my friends. So these people need a lot of support and understanding.
Okay. And this actually brings me to my last question. Do you think that parents and guardians are actually doing enough to ensure that kids are emotionally and physically healthy? Because when you talk to, I'm sure, a lot of young people, they tell you, by the way, I don't feel loved enough. So are parents doing enough to say, by the way, you are beautiful, you are capable, you are, by the way, you're magnificent, go out into this world and do something amazing? And, you know, just supporting them and making sure that emotionally they have it together.
I will not pin it down specifically on parents. I would just say the whole society. First, the fact that you stigmatize depression and suicide.
Yeah.
So and mental health is not an issue that is really taken seriously.
Yeah.
And then again, because of the way you know, right now everyone is just trying to get some money.
Yeah.
All you think about is the next, where will I eat, what will I wear, what will I. So you find so many parents are busy providing for their children, and they feel that because I'm providing them, they should be okay.
Yes.
But we are ignoring that they also need that emotional and psychological support. And I would give advice to parents: just 5 minutes of time with your child, just find out how have you been today, would really save a life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, we want to hear your final thoughts to those who are dealing with that grief and loss, those who have been affected by suicide.
For those who are affected, in fact, there are two types of people who are affected with suicide.
Yeah.
The first are those who have lost a loved one to suicide, and those are called suicide loss survivors.
Yeah.
And those who experience, you know, you didn't know the person, you just found someone who has hung themselves. That's a witness survivor.
Yeah.
And there's a really high chance of these people experiencing something that is called post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
That trauma is too much for you that you're not able to handle.
Yeah.
And you need to spot the signs of post-traumatic stress. You know, people deal with trauma differently. There are some who are able to cope. But if you realize that you're keeping on having recollection of those events, sometimes you could even be feeling the smell of blood.
Yeah.
You're unable to sleep, you're having nightmares, you're unable to work, then you need to seek professional help.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we want to leave it there, but of course, if you do want more advice on this particular situation, if you do know someone who's going through this, I believe, Angela, you are available for consultation. So how can they reach you?
We are at Gertrude's Children's Hospital.
Right.
Yes, in Muthaiga.
Okay.
We have a great team of counseling psychologists. We have child development specialists.
Yes.
I am a nurse counselor.
Yeah.
So we help people deal with all sorts of issues, and even in addition to chronic illnesses, you know, I left that out. That's also a very big cause of suicide among the young people. Yes.
All right. Okay, so a big thank you to nurse counselor Angela Lukuyu, who is a practitioner at Gertrude's Hospital, helping us discuss the rising cases of suicide amongst young people. Please, if you do feel the need to get in touch, she's let you know where they are located. But even as I say asante sana to Angela, let's just remind our viewers that, by the way, they are enough. You are beautiful. You are worthy. There's a reason why you are here. And there's always a God upstairs. I believe so.
Yes.
All right. Keep it for more on Y in the Morning.